Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Droid Life Show today, episode 146. It is Friday, July 24th. I'm your host, Kellen. With me, Tim. Tim, say hi.
Hey guys, Tim here, and today is July 14th.
Did I
Not to let
say fourth?
you said 24th, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're
There's
skipping way ahead,
so
man.
many like 14s on our little script here with the
Uh,
146, 14. It's July 14th. Yes, we are not jumping ahead into the future, or
you're
we're
not
not,
watching a rerun.
yeah, we're not watching something. Yeah. Anyway, July 14th. It is Friday. Thanks for joining us. Not a ton on the show today, but some big topics that we all seem to be just in general as Android, sort of fanboy guys that we like to get excited about, like Pixel 2 rumors, always exciting. Galaxy Note 8 rumors, always very exciting as well. And some other stuff like LG V30. We want to talk about a Verizon customer data exposure just to make sure you guys know what's going on there. And we will say goodbye to Vertu, the stupidly expensive rich people Android phone company that called it quits this week. So, yeah, but let's start first with Pixel stuff because obviously hugely important. So, Pixel 2 rumors. We don't know if it'll be Pixel 2, Pixel 2017 edition. We don't really know second edition. I don't think we really know. But anyway, Pixel 2, Pixel XL, Pixel XL 2, or is it Pixel 2 XL? Which
I'm
one?
going for Pixel XL2.
It's kind of where I'm leaning to. But I think I've seen some people refer to it as Pixel 2 XL. I don't know which side I fall on, but I think I'm with you, Pixel XL too. Anyway, so the guys at Android Police dropped a render of what they believe is the XL version of the new Pixel, second generation XL. And so this would be the LG made version. So we talked about this a little bit last week, but HTC is making the smaller Pixel, we believe, and LG will be making the bigger Pixel. And again, the names aren't confirmed, but we'll just call it Pixel XL2 to try to keep it straight. So anyway, they posted this render and it's of a black version of the big guy. It it looks a lot like last year's Pixel, but with just some slight adjustments. So obviously the front is going to be that LG full vision display that LG's been pumping out, and it should be an AMOLED since Google's made an investment in LG's AMOLED plant basically to make AMOLED. So somebody's making them outside of Samsung, right? Since Samsung's probably gobbling them all up. So full vision display, all display up front, minimal bezel. And then on the back, you still have that sort of two-tone look, although the top glass portion that you see on the Pixel, I've got one right here, I think, a Pixel.
What?
Oh, it's got a case on it. It's got those damn peel cases on it.
Uh-oh. That thing's never coming off.
Peeling it off right now. There we go. So like this, the new version, at least in the render, like this line will be up here above the fingerprint reader. So it's just a smaller glass section and the fingerprint reader kind of down there on its own. And I know if you're just listening, that you can't see what I'm doing, but down at the bottom where this antenna band is, that also appears to either be hidden or just moved down here on the bottom, either way. So cleaner backside, smaller glass panel up top, fingerprint reader still in the middle, G logo as well. No dual camera though. So I don't know if there was any serious rumors that suggested dual camera on the new Pixel, but everyone else is just kind of going that way. So I think people thought maybe Google might dive in there, but they haven't. Apparently, they're going with just a big old. And actually, on this picture, like the camera sensor looks huge. I don't know what to make of that because last year, well, let me hold up my prop again. This camera is so tiny, right? Like it's just like this little tiny little sensor in there. And on this picture, it looks like a big sensor. I don't know if that means we're gonna have some zoom action going on, super high aperture. I don't know what that means, but
Optical zoom.
kind of cool. It actually reminds me, I think Sony was using big old like lenses and things like that for a while. So let's see, cascading back and front sides. So like the metal on the edges of the back curves just subtly at the end. Same thing with the display on the front. It looks really nice. I don't know what else there's to say about it. It looks really nice.
It does look pretty cool. You know, at first I was sort of like, I see a lot of different phones sort of mashed together. My first initial thought was like, whoa, this kind of looks like a Franken phone. Like I see G6, S8, HTC stuff. I see it all kind of worked into this render. Uh, that camera on the backside looks ridiculous. Like, it looks bigger than the fingerprint reader, which
That's
is,
about the size of the fingerprint reader, which is silly.
and the way that it's not centered really kind of grinds my OCD gears, like, kinda heavily, especially if it's that big with the LED flash being on its left side and not the right side. Like,
It
there's
is
just,
weird, yeah.
yeah, there's something weird
No,
going on
we
with
got
it.
a prop again. Well, I guess the flashes is the same position on the old one,
Yes, it is, but
but
the
yes, like
sensor's not 3 times, 4 times as big.
right. On the original, the flash and the camera lens are the same size, so they just kinda go together. Yeah, what Tim's saying is the lens is, like, this big, and the flash is, like, this big.
Fish big. So, but other than that, I'm loving the front. The front looks absolutely amazing. I mean, it looks like a hybrid of an S8 front display and an LG. And so far, I'm really liking the design. I like that they've toned back that back glass. I know on my Pixel XL, my really blue one, with all that glass on the backside, I think I've got some little bit of scratches here and there. I'm just like, because I don't use like cases, so not a huge fan of all that glass on the first gen Pixels, but on this one with it toned down a little bit, I'm really liking it. I think it looks like a very handsome device.
Yes, very tuxedo-y, sort
Yeah,
of
kind of
dressed up,
tuxedo.
classy, yeah.
I want to see what cool colors. Like, I just, since we got that really blue one, I'm expecting another like really cool color, like maybe for a limited thing. If it's red, oh please God, let it be red. I would die for a red
'Cause the
Pixel.
red Nexus 5 was one of the better looking
Oh,
Google
so
phones,
hot. Yeah,
but
with a black front. You give me the black front with the red back. Woo, buddy.
well, so LG just, like, a couple of weeks ago announced the G6 Plus and some new colors for it and the G6, so LG's been playing with colors, maybe they will be able to, because like, last year, like, the really blue was an HTC thing, right? Like, HTC's
Right.
always kinda been doing weird colors, so wasn't too surprising, but LG, they've been kinda boring most of the time, but now they're starting to play with colors, so yeah, maybe Google will get something really cool.
I think all Google needs to do is tell them, hey, this is what we want to do, right? I mean, if you're being hired to make the phone, basically, then
Yeah.
do what Google wants, damn it.
Listen to
And
Google.
make a lot of them so there's no like rushing and selling out within 5 seconds and then it never comes back, blah blah
That's
blah.
gonna end up being the story. Like, we all know the phone will be great because it'll be Google software, and
Right.
the last couple years worth of cameras have been awesome, and the hardware will probably be great. I mean, LG's starting to get pretty good at hardware, so we know, like, it'll be good. Yeah, the story is gonna be, like, whether or not they'll have any in stock for more than 6 hours, and then if they're able to restock them all over, like, the first 6-month period, unlike this last time.
Yeah. I'm seeing a few people in the chat saying red back, black front. I mean, that's
Mm,
what it's at. And I know we're not the only ones. I'm sure if MKBHD sent out a tweet saying, "Oh, Google should make a red and black phone," and then they did, and then he would take credit for that. And yeah, that's fine. I don't care who takes credit for it as long as they do
yeah.
it.
I would also say if they make a white one, I hope they go black front. Because like
Mm,
Samsung this year to keep that infinity look, like they made every version have a black front.
yep.
So like this, I hope it's this. I hope they have this back with the white and silver because I really like it, but I hope it goes black up front.
Hmm. Like a stormtrooper esque.
Yeah, that's Stormtrooper.
Yeah.
Because they did that with the Nexus 5, right? Wasn't there a white Nexus 5? Or was there not a white Nexus
There
5?
was. It was
Yeah.
it yeah. That was, and the two were different, right? Like the white Nexus 5 had not as a soft back as the black one that was more kind of plush, I guess you could say. I don't, it was kind of hard to explain, but they were different materials.
Yeah, no, I think the black was matte and the white was a little more not polished,
Glossy.
but it wasn't like quite
Yeah.
as like soft matte finish. It was a little more smooth.
Right. The black one was nice though. And then because the black one also had the white speaker grill on the front, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, it was a
Remember
nice little design touches, and I'm excited about the second gen Pixel XL made by LG.
pictures of the Nexus 5 right now, and it totally had the giant camera lens
Yes, it did.
with a tiny little flash. Although they weren't side by side, they were vertical.
Right, vertical.
It's kind of like a throwback.
That was a funky phone, man,
It really was.
but it was cool. People loved that thing.
Too bad the camera was crap. Otherwise, it might have been the greatest phone ever. Because that was one of those first phones where like the software was just so good and dialed in and smooth. And
It
then
was Kit Kat, man, and Jelly Bean was so terrible. You know, Kit Kat came out and it brought like the full lock screen album art, and there was just like so much cool stuff going on with Kit Kat. And then because I mean we spent what 2 years with Jelly Bean and its jankiness. So Kit Kat saved the day.
really did. Nexus 5.
But yeah, the camera was bad.
Yeah. So anyway, we got this render out there, and you can see it at the site if you want it. It looks pretty nice. The only thing I'm worried about now is then, of course, the HTC made version, which we still think HTC is probably doing. I don't think Google's going to just scrap them and just release like this LG. Well, actually, before I go there, let me say one more thing about this LG phone. Because it has that infinity display style, or LG's full vision display, it's supposed to be what, a 6-inch?
5.996, yeah.
Yeah, so a 5.99 6-inch display in a full vision sort of scenario means this phone won't be huge. Like, I don't have a S8 Plus around, but what's the S8 Plus? 6.2 or something like that? So the S8 Plus is like 6.2 inches or something, and it's not a huge, I mean, it's a big phone. Don't get me wrong, but like the regular S8 is what, 5.8 inches? So like, here's a regular S8, 5.8. Like, we're talking this LG Pixel XL2 won't be that much bigger than this. That's awesome. Like, to think that it's like in between this and the S8 Plus, I'm not going to complain about that if that's the big one, right? Like, that's going to be a really nice size, I think.
It's going to be a winner.
I think it probably will be, as long as it's waterproof or water resistant.
I just want to say, Ryan, this post that we're talking about, the render, is from July 11th. So you may not see it like on the front page, but if you go back like a day or two, you'll see it. And the headline is, "Ooh, this could be Google's 2nd-gen Pixel XL made by LG."
I just posted a link in the chat, so.
Oh. Typically, whenever I post links, like sometimes YouTube won't allow it. Maybe it will now because I'm a moderator. Either way, doesn't matter. You linked it. There you go.
So let's see. What else did they say, though? They said, well, they said it would be that 2:1 ratio, which is the 18:9 ratio that most of the phones have had in the last couple of years. Not most of the phones, but LG and Samsung phones have had. They said it should have squeezy sides. So even though this is an LG made phone, they're taking on that HTC U11 style of having a squeezy side phone. Although I think it was Ron Amadio from Ars Technica posted like this week after this rumor came out that Google actually filed for a patent for squeezy sides like 3 or 4 years ago or something like that. So Google's been potentially working on this idea maybe before HTC. It's tough to say.
But it's dumb.
Yeah, so squeezy sides, and you can launch Google Assistant and probably customize whatever. I like, if I go back to the U11, like, I reviewed that phone, and the squeezy stuff, like, I never was able to like work it into my life because it just didn't, like, it wasn't like a thing that I went, oh yeah, let me just launch something by squeezing. I always, press a button or swipe on something. So I think if you could get used to it, I think it could be a useful feature, but I don't know. I don't know if Google's going to be able to do that. HTC couldn't get me to do it. We'll see. I guess as long as like the HTC U11 was kind of a wide phone because there's these extra sensors in there. This phone doesn't necessarily look that wide. So maybe Google found a way to implement it that, doesn't take away from the size.
Real quick before we get too far into the year and this type of info leaks out, let's guesstimate right now, and I'm going to write it down so I don't lose it. And whoever wins, like, gets to get dinner from the other person. Let's talk about pricing real quick. What we think this XL is going to go for. We're talking 6-inch LG OLED display, this crazy good looking hardware. And it's of course going to have premium specs. What do you think for price?
What does the XL cost right now? $750 or something?
Yeah, something ridiculous.
I'm looking.
I'm going to put this in my Google Keep. Yeah, people in the chat, let's hear what you think too, yeah? What do you think the Google XL 2nd edition or second 2 is going to cost?
Why doesn't their website like actually say Pixel XL? It just says like +1. Oh, it's $769 for 32 gig. Good God, what? Google charge $769 for a Pixel XL with 32 gig storage?
I'm seeing, ooh, and we got 3 people already saying $850 for this phone. Ooh,
I think I would probably lean towards 800. Yeah.
like $799.
Yeah. I think so. Just because after looking at this for last year, regular XL for 32 gig and they wanted 769. I bet because it's LG's like brand new display, they'll probably make it water resistant,
Mm.
squeezy side.
Oh
I bet they
God.
double the storage to 64 gig. Yeah, I'm going.
128.
I think I'm going $800.
That was my guess. I guess I'll just have to go. Wait, what's the XL going for right now again?
769.
Ah, crap.
So 32 gig. God, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'll say 795.
5. They want
Uh,
oh my god, they want 869 for the 128 gig. I forgot how expensive the Pixel XL was. Holy
those are not cheap.
yeah, the 128 gig model they want 869 for. Wow.
All right, our prices are locked in to my Google Keep.
So
We'll
we're
find.
basically saying 800. It'll
Yeah,
probably be closer to 850 depending on how much storage.
totally. Yeah, absolutely could be. That hurts, man. That hurts.
Yeah. All right. So what I'm saying though is about the HTC version.
Yes.
All sort of early rumors essentially say that it's just going to look like this again. Like it's not going to have a big old display. It's going to have bezel. It's just going to look like a new version of this. I'm
Hmm.
sure the specs will be there. They'll upgrade all of that, but it might just look like this.
Yeah, I don't even know if people really care. Like, I know there's probably people out there that are like, yeah, I like the smaller phones, but it seems like everyone just goes crazy for the big phones. Like, if you take the poll that I've done about S8 versus S8 Plus, the vast majority of people go with the S8 Plus, and I think the same for the Pixel versus Pixel XL. And I think we'll see the same thing. So really, if the two do look different, which I'm not a fan of, like I like that there's a big version and a small version of the same exact phone. People are gonna go for the XL anyway. So the fact that the regular Pixel will look the same, possibly, potentially, I don't think it's a big deal.
If this is all HTC can do 2 years in a row, Google needs to end that partnership
They
now.
will. I think they will. I think they
And
will.
then just let LG do it and let LG make a big and a small because you gotta these got to be the same thing. You can't have one looking like this and one looking like that render that we just threw up there on the site
Yeah.
because that render looks modern and new. This looks like last year. It looks like last year. That's not okay.
That's all we can do. Give us a break.
I still like this phone. I'm just saying when you bring out something new, it's gotta like at least look new. So because you know me, if they made a small version that had a without all these bezels on top of it, it would be the phone I would go for rather than the big dog.
Yeah.
Actually, like I said, though, the size might not be that big for that XL2. So,
It's gonna be hot.
and if they release this and that LG version, I'm going LG version. I'm not another year. And again, I like this phone, but when I want something new, I want something that looks new.
Right. Totally understandable.
Yeah. All right, so that was the huge news in terms of the render. I don't think there was anything else they mentioned. I don't think so. But XDA had sort of a follow-up after that story broke with that picture.
Correct.
You want to run through that? Like XDA just broke down a whole bunch of potential software features, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, not a ton, but a little bit. They did corroborate what Android Police says in that it will have squeezy sides, which is cool. They mentioned that the OLED display made by LG, Google is going to have the always-on display feature for that display. So you can see some notifications and the clock and all that. Your typical always-on display stuff. But then they also had that display profiles will be in the actual display settings menu, not hidden as they are right now in the developer options.
Weird that they hide.
Yeah, so we're talking sRGB, a vivid profile, etc. Kind of like what you see on any other phone right now, besides Pixel phones.
Like worth writing up. Like this is how far we've come. Like how many other phone manufacturers have had the settings on their phones forever. And
Long
like
time.
when Google brings them out of the hidden settings, we're like, ooh,
Yeah.
guys, this is big.
And if you guys, anyone here is running Developer Preview 3 of Android O, you'll notice that the overall kind of theme is very light. But according to XDA and its source, once Android O finally rolls out, it's going to go back to a darker theme. And they said that what you see now might actually just be like a bug or was a mistake, and that they actually wanted the theme to be dark, but that's just not the way it turned out. I don't know how that works, but
Beta.
yeah, beta bug. But yeah, that's about it. I mean, nothing too crazy on that front. I mean, what we don't have to be surprised by much because these developer previews sort of jade us in terms of like, ooh, look at all these fresh new features when we've been using this stuff for months now. So none of it is like very huge, like multi-window and all this stuff. And when you minimize YouTube and can move your video picture in picture, like none of that is cool to us anymore. It's definitely cool, don't get me wrong, but it's not like, you're not going to see like, here's how to use picture in picture mode. Like we're not going to break it down for you. It's pretty straightforward.
Well, one thing to keep in mind is, last year there was a bunch of talk about the Pixel phones having this exclusive feature set, right? Like they had an assistant first, I think, didn't they? But they had 7.1.1 first with the app shortcuts. They obviously have the Pixel launcher. What else did they have? They had a couple other things, like the swipe down on the fingerprint reader was a Pixel exclusive for a while. So there's always a chance that Android O, and I think this is probably what's going to happen, but Android O will drop, at the end of August. And then that'll be on all the Nexus or Pixel, probably, well, the first two Pixels and then some of the old Nexus phones as we lead up to the launch of the Pixel 2. And then by the time we get there, it'll be time for Google to show off Pixel, and they'll want to sell like some extra features on it, right? I'm guessing, just like they did last year. So even though Android O seems kind of boring right now, and by the time it launches in August, we'll be like, all right, it's there. We've played with all this stuff for a while. I wouldn't doubt it if by the time the Pixel 2's out there, there's like a batch, which is probably just going to be a software update, because that's kind of how it worked last year. And they'll introduce some new stuff that'll be Pixel exclusive. And the good news is that could mean the first Pixel generation will get it right away. But that probably means like Nexus 6P and Nexus 5X are just cut off.
Dang.
But they're a couple years old at this point anyway. By the time, the new Pixels launch, they'll be 2 years old. So and that's all they do for big software releases or something, right? So, but yeah, exciting times. We are quite a ways away. I mean, the Pixels came out last year, October, something like that.
Something like that. Yep.
So it's July.
We got time.
We got time. We got like 4 or 5 months to go before we get there. So
yeah, everything's gonna be hitting what FCC and all that stuff here pretty soon, though. Like,
I mean, maybe. It's tough to say. Like it feels like we're so far away from that. I know we're not really. It goes fast, but
time is flying right now. The fact that we're already in mid-July is kind of earth shattering.
Yeah, we're over halfway through 2017. It just doesn't seem right. It's like we just got here. So yeah, that's the news on Pixel stuff for now. I would just expect more and more of this stuff to start trickling out.
Yeah.
But the big thing is going to be Android O next month. Well, I'm surprised we didn't get another preview. Or are we done with previews until the final preview?
No, we're not done. We got one more, which should be coming out here very soon.
I would guess next week, yeah.
Yeah.
Because today's the 14th. They usually do it around mid-month. I would guess next week we'll get a new preview.
I could see that. Make sure your phones are charged, people.
Looking to see when the last one dropped. The 8th. Yeah, the 8th. Surprised it'll be next week, probably, yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Someone wants to know what the name for Android O is going to be. I mean, we're pretty sure. I don't know how sure. I would give my confidence level about an 89%, but that it might be oatmeal cookie, but it sounds kind of boring. And then who knows, they could drop the bomb and license the Oreo name from Nabisco, even though that'd probably cost a fortune. But hey,
I just feel like they have to go Oreo.
They don't, though. They don't. They've had plenty of opportunities to do other like cool candy names, and they haven't. So
Well, they did Jelly Bean, but is Jelly Bean
That's
an
not, you can't, yeah,
that's
it's
not like
not
an official name.
trademark. No. Jelly Belly is
That
that
was
one.
really the only one so far, right?
Yeah, just Kit Kat is the only one they've had to license.
Yeah, so Oreo would definitely have to be a license. I don't know, just still feel like they could do like have they ever done like a 2-word name, like oatmeal cookie? They've never done that, have they?
Mm, Kit Kat.
I think Kit Kat's actually 1 word. I think I spelled it 2 words for a long time, but it's actually 1 word, which is so stupid.
I don't think there is.
What's
No.
like Jelly Bean?
Jelly Bean. Yeah.
Ice cream sandwich was 3.
I guess we're just stupid.
Yeah. We're like thinking really hard, like, well, nougat.
I
That's like
know.
as far as we could go. Like
I got to
nougat.
marshmallow and nugget, and like, that's about it.
Yeah. Okay, so throw that out the window. It could be oatmeal cookie. I don't know. It feels like they have to do something different this year. Maybe part of me just thinks it still has to be Oreo, but I don't know. Otherwise, yeah, there's been hints of it in code already as OC, which oatmeal cookie. We saw those mentions, but they've used some weird code names in the past that switched at the end, like key lime pie and things like that. So it's still pretty up in the air. All right, let's move on to Galaxy Note 8 stuff.
Nice.
So the Galaxy Note 8 saga over when it will be unveiled changes like every other week. So
It's liquid.
yeah, the initial rumor was it would be unveiled on August 20th. And then like a week later or something, Ev Leaks came out and said, no, it's coming end of September.
No, it was
And
more
then,
like a day later.
was it like a day later? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then this week, The Investor, which is a Korean news outlet who's been pretty spot on, I think, over the
They've been
last
pretty
year or
good.
so. Like, I feel like they're semi-new, but they've been pretty spot on in the last year or two. They said, no, it's actually coming. Well, they think it's coming August 23rd and at an event in New York. And they said they confirmed with Samsung that it's coming next month, which would be August. But Samsung rep wouldn't specify the date. They just think, according to their sources, the 23rd. So, I mean, that kind of sounds like it's coming next month. Like if the investor has somebody, I don't know that they had a name on record, but they said a Samsung executive like confirmed next month. So
Correct. And
I don't.
I mean, the investor's pretty serious. I feel like, especially when it comes to the Samsung and LG stuff. I mean, they are in Korea with those people. So, and they haven't let us down really in the past. So we'll see. Although
Yeah.
I always take what Evan Blass says pretty
Yeah, I mean,
seriously too. So it's kind of hard to tell at this
yeah,
moment.
it is kind of hard to tell. So there's some confusion there for sure. But the latest is from the investor who says a Samsung executive told them yes next month.
Yeah, that seems pretty good to me.
Yeah, I would say so too. In terms of Note 8, though, did we get new renders this week or was that last week? I think that was last week. So we haven't really heard anything else new, right?
Nah.
I think that like some case manufacturers are starting to do that hype beast crap they do where they're like, look at our Note 8 case. And then they throw up like some fake renders in them and everyone goes, ooh, it could be the Note 8.
We've seen those CAD renders, but
Seen the CAD renders, which I trust more than like the case guys. Like,
yeah.
I know once we get closer, the case guys get more and more accurate, but like the first few case renders are always like, what is that? And we know you're just trying to get them early sales of your cases. We get it.
Yeah. Sire in the chat asking, do you think the Note 8 can be the 2017 phone of the year? Yeah, absolutely. Why not? As long as it doesn't burn your house down, it should be a pretty darn good phone. Yeah, last year I was going to vote Note 7's phone of the year. So if the Note 8 is anything like that, it's got a pretty good chance.
It's got a pretty good chance. But,
unless the Pixel is insanely awesome. Like the camera, it's really going to come down. Both phones, I can already tell you, will be cool. It'll come down to the camera. Like which one is going to be better? And it could be the Pixel. Who knows?
I think it's just if the new Pixel is water resistant.
Yeah.
And well, because the Note we think is going to be stupid expensive too. So
Yeah.
even if the Pixel undercuts that, we know the software experience is going to be 8,000 times better. So I would think the Pixel will be, but you never know, right? Google's disappointed us plenty in the past when it comes to phones. So
Sure.
yeah. The Note 8 should be great though. The Note 7 was an amazing phone. It just had its issues. But yeah, I mean, I think you and I were both like, this phone is awesome.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I don't love the SA and SA Plus. They're just not phones for me. So I'm not really like on the Note 8 like hype train at the moment. I'll probably get there. Don't worry. But
Hmm.
at the moment, I'm not quite there.
Pixel has water resistance and a good camera. It's like an automatic win.
Seems
So
like it.
yeah.
But it doesn't have a pen or an SD slot or wireless charging. What is the list of stuff we run through to shoot that down? Yeah. You can't buy it.
It's got NFC, so that's a plus.
Yes, yeah, good for NFC.
Fingerprint reader is going to be in a much better spot than it is on the Note 8.
Yeah. I will still say that one of the best implementations of on-screen buttons has been Samsung's like pressure sensitive home button on the S8.
Yeah.
Still one of the coolest things. I wish everyone would do that, but I'm sure that costs some extra money that no one wants to spend.
Yeah, Marco says not a lot of essential phone talk. No hope it's gonna be something. Well, damn, what we can hope all we want. That doesn't mean Andy Rubin's ever gonna release the thing. I mean, people pre-ordered that thing more than a month ago, and he's the one who specifically said, "Hey, I wouldn't take your money if it wasn't close to being ready." So we thought, okay, it'll be out in like a week or two tops, not a month plus. Come on, Andy, what's up, Godfather of Android? Get out of here.
We talked about Essential in a little while, have we?
Nothing to talk about. There has been nothing out of their camp.
That's exactly the thing. So let's talk about Essential for a second. So Essential, yes, they announced this phone. It's been that was at the end of May. It was like the last day of May, I believe. Going back in the archives now. So last day of May announced Essential phone, and they opened up their reservation system, right? You couldn't actually spend money to pre-order, but they opened up their reservation system. And then Andy Rubin went on Code Conference. It was like, look at my pretty phone. It's so cool. And he was like doing an advertisement basically as he's sitting there. The funniest thing about that was him like commanding the camera guy, like, no, get this shot. No, get this. It was kind of awkward and weird. Like, dude, that's not your cameraman, but okay. So yeah, and he said at the thing, well, I wouldn't have opened up a reservation system if I wasn't going to sell this thing in the next 30 days. Well, 30 days was like a week or so ago. And they've just gone silent. Somebody said to me the other day, like, you guys killed them by trashing on their camera, because we put up that post about how their executive was posting these trash pictures with the camera.
Bad.
Yeah.
So bad.
Because we haven't really heard much since then.
That's true. You might put them out of business.
Our Twitter account's fairly active. Like I got caught up in basically like a reply chain on Twitter where somebody was talking about the colors, and like Essential just kept responding to people. So at least they're active on there, but they have not said a word about when this thing is coming, when we're actually going to be able to buy it. They've gone silent. So it's hard to like continue to get excited and be like, yeah, it could be phone of the year, but this one's definitely not water resistant. So we know that, right? And the camera's trash. We think could be better. It could be great once it actually launches, but it did already go through the FCC. So
well,
there must be something on the back end, like holding it up. Like Sprint already said, like, yeah, we're going to sell it.
Well, even TELUS is saying up in Canada, they're like, we're going to be the exclusive carrier partner for this phone that doesn't yet exist. And I mean, the last time they tweeted something like publicly about that actually mentioned the phone specifically was on June 28th. So it seems rather odd. I'm just going to throw it out there. It's July 14th. That was a few days ago. And like, you'd think they'd want to keep building hype to get people to order the phone, but no, there hasn't been any mention of like, order your phone here. It's going to be shipping soon. Not even like a soon.
I'd honestly forgotten about the phone. Like until that guy just brought it up, I don't even think about it anymore because that's how quiet it's been on it. Like no one's held the phone in the press really, outside of some early prototypes from the Code Conference. Like no one's seen it. Andy Rubin's not running around promoting it anymore. It's very, very odd.
It is odd. Someone asked who's going to launch their phone first, Sagis or Essential. My money's still on Essential to do that because I don't know if you guys know about Sagis, but they're not phone makers. They're scam artists.
So Tim and I, you guys probably don't know this, but Tim and I talk. Well, I should say I make Tim talk about Sagis like once every couple of weeks. Like I just get bored and go on like Sagis's Twitter feed to see what's going on. And we talked about Sagis this week, I think actually. Yeah. Like they still have it. They still haven't done any. They still haven't shipped a single phone after like 3 years now of saying
Wow.
like, "Oh, shipments are coming. Final build is done." And then they get phones. They're like, "Oh no, no, we're still like tooling and making everything right." Like, oh my god, you're running a Snapdragon 801, and like this thing is 3 years old. And you guys aren't done yet. What are you guys doing? The latest on Sagas is that they're well. I don't really want to like dive into their Twitter account, but they posted some screenshot that was trying to show like an icon they had built. It's totally just a screenshot from a
Zen
an
phone, an
Asus
Asus
Zen
phone.
phone. Yeah, it was an Asus Zen phone, and it was like a screenshot on their phone. They were like, "Look," and everyone was like, "That's not the stock Android you guys promised." It's just hilarious. That company is hilarious.
It's pretty bad.
It's so bad. It's just this running joke that
Yeah.
will never get old. Sagas.
So
I
yeah,
just hope they show up like at CES again and just hang out and go, guys, it's coming. Like, how much money are you guys gonna waste at conferences talking about a phone that you introduced 3 years ago?
it's not a waste if they're keeping up the front, right? They have to keep up the front, or people will start suing. So
I just
you
want to
can't
know,
do
like,
that.
where's the money coming from? Like, are they also conning investors into giving them money? Like, how can they pay for any of this stuff?
I wish I could tell you.
Obviously not doing anything, so they're not spending money outside of going to conferences, but you would think even that kind of money would run out at some point.
Yeah, we talked to them. Someone was asking if we talked to them at CES, and we did that not this year, but the year before, prior, I believe.
They didn't show up this year, CS.
Yeah, and they showed us the phone. They said, "Oh, check it out," and they had it hooked up via like MHL to a TV, and they thought that was like the coolest thing ever. And they were playing a 10-year-old mobile game on it, like that jet ski racing one or whatever. Yeah, Riptide, and it's like, what the hell's going on? And like, am I having a stroke? I was just so confused as to what year it was. Right?
It did feel like it was 2013 or so, and they kept on to show us demos, and we were like, "No, we're just here to talk about when you're going to release this." And they were like, "Well,
Exactly.
our guy's gone; he'll be back soon." And we're like, "Okay, well,
That
we
was
don't have
odd.
that much time."
Yeah. He tried saying that their rep was like in a meeting. But yeah, like what? Who's meeting with this guy?
Meeting with Saget, yeah, no idea. He was just out drinking.
Yeah, very very peculiar. But back to Essential, I'm still actually quite excited about it. If they fix the camera, like what we saw, like this guy was their exec was like on there actually like boasting about how cool the pictures were, and they were just so trash. I felt really bad actually, but
Kind of bad too. Like when I look back at it, I'm just like, wow, we were not so we were not so nice to your guys' camera phone.
well, it's
And
not
maybe
an
at least it was, like,
inexpensive
that day.
device.
No.
Yeah, it's not an inexpensive device. And then once we were trashing on it, everyone decided, oh, yeah, it's okay to trash on it because, I mean, the phone isn't out yet. Like, we don't owe anybody any courtesy, Like, if it looks like crap, we're going to tell you.
Looking at the picture right now, it's so bad. There's like these nighttime ones, and granted, they're really, really low light, but like
Sure.
nothing is even in focus. And he's like, check it out. So bad.
It's pretty bad.
Poor guy. Probably lost his job because you trashed on his photo taking skills. All right. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a random essential update. We don't know anything. We've been in contact with like their PR team, and they just haven't really said much. So that's all we really know. You guys know about as much as we do.
Yep.
So did we finish Galaxy Note 8? Anyways, Note 8, we think August 23rd,
August 23rd.
more than likely end of August or something along those lines. In sort of related news, LG, this is official. They are hosting an event on August 31st at IFA or IFA, whatever you want to call it. And we're pretty sure the V30 is coming there. The save the date they sent us has a big V across the screen, and the whole thing is in the shape of a phone. I would say it's probably going to be the V30.
They just sent out a tweet that literally shows hashtag V. So we're fairly certain. Our confidence rating is about a 99% that it's going to be the V30.
Yeah, more than likely. But we did this week get CAD renders of the V30.
CAD renders.
And it looks like you said it looks like a big G6, and it does, because That's exactly what it looks like. It's got like the dual cameras up top, the fingerprint reader, no ticker any longer.
Thank goodness. Bye
Um,
bye. Bye
so
bye.
it's like slightly more rounded around the edges and stuff than the G6. Like the G6 display is perfectly flat across the front. Like this one looks like it has more of like a rounded edge to it, like we saw on the Pixel
Cascading.
XL2.
Yeah.
So I think we should probably look at this as like this is what the Pixel XL2 is going to look like.
Totally possible. I will say this phone looks sick. Like this is the first V30 design, if these CAD renders are accurate, that I'm like totally stoked about. I love that backside. People may hate like, oh, it's like a robot doing the O face, but I think the dual cameras on the back look totally sick. Fingerprint readers in a fantastic spot as it always is on LG devices. The phone, and it looks like a big G6, and I'm a big fan of that design too. So this phone has me super excited. You know, it's gonna have that quad DAC or whatever, and all this other. It's got water resistance. It's gonna be sick.
It should be good. The only thing that worries me is like LG software is so badly in need of like starting from the bottom. Like it's
It's really
bad.
bad.
So I wish they would do a big overhaul there while they're doing all this new hardware stuff, but they probably won't. But yeah, it looks like a more refined G6.
I could
That's
see that.
probably slightly bigger without that stupid ticker display from all the other V series. One of the renders that you posted shows like a couple extra microphones on the side. So obviously it's going to be huge in audio and video recording, right? It'll probably do something similar maybe to what the U11, HTC's U11 does, where like you can really focus audio while you're recording video or something. Either way, it'll be a media machine because yes, it'll have a DAC and all that good stuff.
It'll be the ultimate stuff and things phone.
And it has a headphone jack up top. Oh yeah, the V series will always be the stuff and things series. But yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah, it looks good.
Very nice.
Good
The
job,
only
I
thing
mean, LG is really just picking it up in the hardware department. I gotta say, they've been doing so good.
yeah, for sure. I mean, the G6 is a really nicely designed phone, and this just looks like a better version of that.
I know when things went wrong for LG, I think. Like, you know, they sort of like had that slump. And I think it was because the G3 was extremely exciting. It had a really good camera and also had the first QHD display that was like, you know, in America and like highly publicized. But then for the jump from the G3 to G4 is I think what killed them when they used dog leather. This is unconfirmed, of course. They used terrible leather for the backside of the G4. Like the software was way worse than it ever had been. And I really think that's kind of like when they fell off. And then we know what happened with the G5. And that was like the dark times for LG. But yeah, they're coming back now.
The G4 wasn't that the year of the Galaxy S6? So it was like Samsung went super premium and LG was still a year behind. Like the G4 was all plastic, and then they threw on that really terrible cheap leather on the back. Yeah. And so it was like the design hardware just wasn't quite there, and the other software was still really bad. And then the G5 happened, and I think that everyone should just forget that the G5 ever happened.
Yeah, I could do that.
But yeah, they got to crawl back now. The G6 was a good start. Hopefully this V phone's good and they can sell some. But the problem is like when you start talking about like, well, this V30 looks great. Well, the Note 8's going to be released alongside it, and probably the same month it'll be the iPhone 8 or whatever the hell we're calling that thing. And then the next month is like the next Pixel. So it's just tough competition out there.
It could be rough.
It could be rough. Yeah, even as good as the V30 could be, it could be rough.
V series has sort of like that built-in fan base, though. You know, the people who will just defend stuff and things to the death. So that's good for LG. They need that. Although somehow HTC has that too, even though like maybe just these people are so invested in HTC. I don't know, or like HTC sent them a shirt or something. I don't know why people feel like they need to go to bat for HTC, but
there's a weird pride thing around being an HTC fan and an LG V series fan.
Yeah.
Which we love because we love needling the shit out of people. It's like
I love the passion. The passion's great.
Yes, the passion is wonderful, but we will give you a hard time nonstop for the rest of your life as long as you stay that way. Because in the end, this is just a technology company that you have like no investment in other than that phone. So we'll probably make fun of you a little bit.
Yeah.
I can't wait till the V30 comes out because I was hard on the V20.
Yeah. It's probably going to be sick. I mean, no secondary ticker. If it's got like an OLED, this OLED too. Oh man, that'd be
Yeah,
dope. They probably won't use the OLED because the production is going to be extremely limited and made only for the Pixel. But we'll see.
yeah. I kind of think they'll probably do it. Well, I don't know.
I don't think they can.
Early enough. Maybe they're not even ready. Like that's one of those
Yeah,
mysteries we don't really know. How you'll be able to tell is like 2 weeks before they unveil it, LG
they'll
will
announce the
announce.
display.
Yeah, LG Display will announce like, check out our new AMOLEDs coming soon on a new flagship. Like that's usually what they do. So
Yeah, or I think it'll be the Q2. Whenever they have their Q2 earnings, I forget if they're ahead or back, Q2 or Q3. But then they'll tell their investors like what the plan is, and they'll confirm the name, all that
they just
stuff. Like,
I think they just did it last week actually and didn't say anything because Samsung just did theirs and they're like record and LG was like not so
not
much.
so much. Well, guess we'll find out then.
It'll just be like a couple weeks before they'll announce.
Bring back Nexus phones. Can't afford Pixels.
Yeah,
Super
not gonna,
Dodge boy.
Nexus is dead.
Yeah, sorry, buddy.
Pixel is here. All right, so moving on. So this week, story that got quite a bit of play was a Verizon customer data exposure. So we wrote up a quick story about it, and we tried to clarify that, like part of the reason we hadn't thrown like a big story about it and been all over it is because it's not a Verizon wireless issue. So if you guys saw this story, Verizon, millions and millions of Verizon customers' data was exposed. It was the story. ZDNet first broke it, and essentially what happened is Verizon hired a third-party outfit to help them with a call center, either procedure, just make their call centers better, analyze some data. And this third party, like accidentally, apparently they called it a human error, like unchecked a security box and made all the stuff public. And you had to know like the specific URL where the stuff was in order to find it. It's not like you could just go on Verizon's site and like randomly find it, but a security researcher found it and was like, hey, what are you guys doing here? So it took him like 9 days to like block this, which seems kind of weird. Like it seems like all the dude had to do was click another box to make it secure or private. But anyway, so they did that. So the initial report was 14 million customers, and Verizon says no, it was 6 million. So believe whoever you want, somewhere in that range, 14 to 6 million, or 6 million to 14 million customers. We're talking like phone numbers, addresses, email addresses, pins. Although Verizon said the pins were not to access accounts, they were to allow reps to access accounts over the phone or something weird like that. I wouldn't say Verizon's been like weird about this, but it sounds like they don't think it's a big deal. Although, of course, they're going to downplay that. Either way, this is for wireline customers, which are the customers that actually own like a hardwired phone line from Verizon.
The hell is that?
Can't imagine that there's even those around, but apparently there is. And so this is not a wireless data breach. And Verizon is trying to be very, very clear on that. So
Good.
anyway, if you're a wireline customer, you may want to go like change your pins and stuff and do that. As a wireless customer, you probably don't need to worry about it, but if you want to, you probably can go change all that stuff. Either way, Verizon says no data was stolen. Only people that accessed it were this third party and this researcher. So just want to throw that out there so you guys are all clear. Louis Vuitton. I don't think we've ever talked about Louis Vuitton on the show.
I'm so happy we can though.
Louis Vuitton is making an Android Wear. Actually, it's already made. You can go into probably just select Louis Vuitton stores, probably the big dog ones that sell watches and stuff, and buy the Tambour Horizon Android Wear watch, which starts at $2,450.
So sick.
There's also a $2,900 version. So one is stainless steel, that's the $2,400 version, and one's stainless with a PVD black coating on it, and that's $2,900.
So sick.
So expensive for an Android Wear watch. Like it's actually nice looking. Like it has a full round display, nice looking crown. It's designed pretty nicely, but $2,400 Louis Vuitton. I like, the one thing I want to know, and I'm sure there is like so Louis Vuitton falls under LVMH, which is this giant fashion conglomerate, right? They also own Tag Heuer. So Tag Heuer makes one, and now these guys are making it. It kind of makes sense. I'm assuming they just have some like centralized like tech support center that's probably going to support all of these, I would think, and maybe do the software updates. I can't imagine like some guy in a fancy like Louis Vuitton backpack is like doing software updates like out of his office. I don't know how that's going to work, but you have to wonder, right? Like, are these going to get updates regularly, things like that? So
It'll be
you
interesting.
probably don't care if you're spending $3,000 on a tech watch, but
I think it's just like this is like one of my favorite designs I've seen in a long time. I'm not the hugest fan of like this huge kind of bezel around the side, right? Because this front isn't all display, right? The crown around it you see with the numbers, if you guys can see what I'm even talking about. But it's just a really nice looking device. Like it's a very sleek, simple design. It's something I would expect from Louis. And you know, obviously I'm in the wrong business because I can't afford this thing, but it looks sick. And if I could afford it, I would totally have it because it looks that dope to me.
yeah,
Because
I like it too. Like it's it's kind of that like Louis Vuitton style where like everyone's gonna look at you and go, "Oh, you're wearing a Louis Vuitton watch." Like it's got that to it, which is part of like I think the draw to Louis Vuitton. But
haters in the building.
yeah, so you know, they have like swappable bands and stuff. There's like pink versions. They kind of went all out. There's like multiple versions. There's like 30 different bands I think you can swap, and they have this patented like swapping system. It's silly, is what it is, but
Yeah.
hey, if you can afford it, do what you got to do.
Guy Davis in the chat saying, shame to say, but probably time to start taking bets on if the essential phone actually is made and sold. Just want to reiterate, Kellen and I probably both feel that this phone is most definitely coming out. I think they're just maybe running into problems maybe they didn't expect. I 100% believe the phone is coming. So
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
Doesn't he's not like a messing around kind of.
No, absolutely. He's going to get stuff done. It may take a little bit longer than they anticipated, but it's going to get done. So if you ordered this phone, don't expect to be, you know, don't put in for a refund or anything. Give it another couple of weeks. And then you can start thinking about
anything yet. It was just a reservation system. You just
right. Right. So, but don't worry. I think it's coming.
Yeah, I mean, it already went through the FCC. Like this phone, I'd imagine they're just having some software bugs or something like that. They're still working through. Like this phone is cleared for takeoff. Basically, they just need to finish up whatever they're doing. Unlike Sagas, who still can't go through the FCC after like 3 years. So, all right. Next story, Vizio. This is just sort of an update. Remember when LeEcho was trying to buy Vizio for billions of dollars? Then they had to drop that because LeEcho's like going out of business. I think at this point, they have no money. Saw a story earlier this week where they can't even pay their Chinese employees for like a month or something like that.
They'll get paid August 10th. All right, they can be patient.
I had to step down. Yeah, I mean, it's like it's a disaster.
It's
and Faraday Future, my favorite fake car company, they canceled their plans to build their like $1 billion facility in Nevada. Like that was a huge deal, right? Like 2 years ago at CES, Faraday Future was everywhere. And like my mom lives there. And so I talk to her every once in a while about Faraday Future. And she's like, yeah, there's all this buzz. And she works sort of northern Vegas. For a company who's pretty close to where the Faraday Future plant was. And like they had to talk about like, well, how are we going to retain our employees? Because they're probably going to try to go work for Faraday and all this stuff. And like Faraday Future is like, it's not dead, but yeah, they canceled this week or put on hold, I should say, their giant plans to build this massive, like anyway, just related to LeEcho. But so Vizio is kind of mad. They want some money. There was $100 million buyer termination fee, and they want that. And I don't blame them.
I don't blame them either. So at LeEcho, what it sounds like was being sort of sneaky. They were like, okay, so we're going to pull out of this deal because obviously we can't afford $2 billion right now. And our deal was met with regulatory headwinds, code for we ain't got no cash, bruh. So they pulled out, but they're like, hey, let's do a joint distribution deal. It'd be mutually beneficial. We can get Vizio panels and TVs into China, which would be big business for Vizio. But Vizio is now claiming that Leeco never had plans to pay any of this money. So the way the deal was going to break down is Leeco would pay $40 million of the $100 million termination fee straight to Vizio, $10 million after the joint distribution deal closed, and then $50 million, the remaining $50 million was going to be turned into a capital contribution on Vizio's behalf. So, but Vizio saying like, no, it's not the way we're going to play this, and you're just going to give us the $100 million, and we're just going to call it quits. So, I think that's the best road for them to take, especially considering, I mean, because we don't know what Leeco is doing right now. They are just like, they're tanking quick. So,
they're so done, dude.
yeah,
so bad.
Yeah, Vizio says that Leeco's holding company, which is the company is actually trying to buy Vizio, mischaracterized their financials. Like, and that is like terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
because thing didn't last very long, and all of a sudden it was like, oh yeah, we're gonna have to back out of this, but we're gonna do this really cool like joint partnership thing later on, and like Vizio is not that stupid.
no, I don't think so.
So
Reynal in the chat was asking if I still use the Leeco TV. No, sir. That was just a review unit. They took that thing back with the quickness because obviously they got to liquidate it to get some cash to pay their employees. So no, it was just a unit, sent it back.
yeah,
Thanks for asking. It was a cool TV. It was fine. It was Android TV, and it wasn't just like some add-on of Android TV. Like, no, the TV specifically ran Android TV, so I really enjoyed it. It was actually really cool. And it was a great TV. So whatever. I got other TVs. I'm not sad.
You'll be all right.
I'll be all right.
Speaking of liquidation, Vertu.
Oh, Vertu.
The stupidly expensive phone company, they're calling it quits. They
dang it.
How much money are they in debt? It's like
125 million or something like that.
128 million pounds.
Yeah. 128 million pounds.
So Vertu, for those of you who don't know, makes these really, 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 really expensive phones. And they were Nokia, I think, at one point, and then they switched to Android because Nokia like died for a long time there. Well, did die, but so they make Android phones, and they're like outfitted with like premium metals and like gator skins and jewel, all like this like absurd stuff that has no reason being on a phone. But if you're really rich, you like buying stupid crap like that, apparently. Well, not very many people. So it'd be like $20,000, $30,000 for an Android phone. Seriously, $30,000 for a phone. And like the software, you never knew like what. I think Tim and I walked into, there was actually a Vertu store in the Wynn in Las Vegas, and Tim and I actually stopped in there last year, and we were like, we got to just talk to these guys and see. And of course it was a small shop, but we walked in, they had like 4 or 5 phones on display, I think, and we talked to this dude, and he was a nice guy, but like I think we brought up like what software was running, and like I don't even know if it was Marshmallow. Like I think it was just like behind like a whole version, and like the specs on these things are never like the highest end specs. When you're paying $30,000 for a phone, you would hope that you would at least have like the newest Snapdragon, but no, they're always like a cycle behind. They were stupid. They were really just for rich people to just blow money on things for no reason, and it didn't work out.
Shocker.
They are liquidating and closing down, and that's pretty much it for them. I don't know if they had other stores. Like you and I just happened to like stumble upon that one at the Wynn. I don't know if they had other stores like across the world or anywhere else, but they had an online presence. But
bye.
Just crazy.
That's too bad.
Yeah, it is too bad. Poor guys. They just wanted to work hard and sell some ridiculously expensive phones with Gator.
Like the concept is cool, but I mean, they were super expensive, like flip phone competitors. You know, I mean, they just weren't anything special.
Crap phones like that at one point, like they would take like a flip phone and mask it and all this gold and leather and stuff. It was just a way for people to waste money that had just too much money.
That's too bad.
I'm just trying to imagine, like, if I had millions of dollars and was buying like $20,000 phone, I would probably want it to. I probably want it to at least be up to spec with other good phones. The thing is too, like I don't know that a Vertu phone was ever looked at as a status symbol. Like if I saw somebody with one, like yeah, I would say, okay, that guy's absurdly rich, but I wouldn't go, that guy's got a cool phone. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Whereas like celebrities and things like that, they still carry around like iPhones. They always have a
iPhone.
new iPhone, right? Or they have the new Galaxy S8 or whatever. Like they have phones like that, and those are still kind of status symbols. Like, oh, you have the new iPhone. I don't think anyone's looking around going, "Oh, you got that new Vertu." Yeah,
Yeah, buddy. Well, maybe because we aren't in those circles and we never see like 1%ers. Like maybe they are like chilling on their 80-foot yachts, being like, dude, I got that new Vertu.
they
So,
might. One of the things the guy we talked to him about is they had, I think they actually did have a flip phone or like a feature phone style. And he said it was like basically for old people, like old
yeah.
rich people that just don't know any better. That stay at the Wynn, walk in there and go, I need a new phone. And they go, here, this one's like 15 grand. And they're like, cool.
Cool.
Just buy it because it doesn't matter.
That's totally cool, man. Like if you can afford it, screw it. Why not, dude? You know, like enjoy life.
Yeah, I mean,
Enjoy gator
look at that Louis
skin.
Vuitton watch, right? Like,
I
yeah,
know.
I mean, I think it's absurd because we'd never buy that thing. But if you're rich enough to afford that,
It's
just
awesome.
why
Go for
not? Right? Why not? So yeah, Trump gets brought up every time.
Oh, Trump. Someone wants
Somebody
to see Trump versus Godzilla. That's kind of cool. That'd be
Trump
dope.
would be pretty good. Now, so now you just need to get a Godzilla cutout, and they could just like stare down in the background like the whole time.
That'd be cool.
Would be pretty sweet. All right. Well, I don't really have any other topics.
Yeah, I can't think of much. I'm not really using too many new apps or anything. I haven't found any new games. I'm still playing, of course, my Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. So much fun. So cool. But yeah, that's about it for me.
Oh, you know what? I don't know how we missed this, but Motorola, have we confirmed the Motorola event? Was that on last week's show? Motorola is doing an event.
Yes, but we didn't. Yeah, we did talk about that last week.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, fully confirmed now. Motorola is
Huh.
hosting an event on July 25th. Yeah, July 25th, right? So Motorola is hosting an event on July 25th, and they sent us like save the date a week ago. This week we got the official event invite, and it talks about like shattering things. What does it say?
Yeah, this is gonna be shatterproof.
Get ready to shatter your expectations. And there's like pictures of phones and broken glass all over. So yeah, we already expected it to be the Moto Z2 Force, which the last year's Moto Z Force had Shatter Shield, which is their shatter resistant display. So kind of confirms that Z2 Force with new version probably of Shatter Shield. And yeah, it's July 25th, 11 a.m. Eastern. Tim will be on hand in New York for that. So definitely
Yeah.
for that fun. I don't know if we'll see anything else there. I'm guessing it's just that phone.
Yeah. Some mods.
Oh yeah, and then they'll unveil maybe some new mods, probably like that
Yeah.
360 camera, stuff like that was outed and gone. Now.
Whoops. Yeah.
So that is happening though. So yeah, just an update on that. That we got the official invite, and they talk about shattering things.
Yeah, it's gonna be dope. I see a lot of people talking about front-facing speakers for the Pixel XL or Pixel. Like that's not happening. Like we see one speaker up on top that you talk or listen through while on the phone, and maybe they're stereo. We don't know, but as far as we know, there's no front-facing speakers. They can't do that because the bezels are so darn thin.
The only thing I
So
would say is looking at this, like the speaker grill up top is really big. It's really long.
yeah,
So I'm almost wondering if they're not going to do a dual speaker where like one's out the bottom, one's out that earpiece. Like, didn't
they could.
HTC do that with the HTC 10? I think, yeah, they did.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't doubt it if maybe that happened. Because that speaker grill up top is huge.
Yeah, stereo speaker I could see. I'm not, but dual front facing, that's not happening.
No, not dual front, but yeah, I could see two speakers at least. The only thing is we don't know what's on the bottom. Type C. We haven't heard anyone say if the headphone jack's officially gone or not. Hopefully not, but hopefully not.
Hopefully
So yeah, we don't really know the speaker situation, but that front top one could be both an earpiece and a speaker. Just looking at how big it is. Yeah.
nice.
Any other thing you want to talk about? Oh, it was Amazon Prime Day this week. I
Yes,
didn't buy
it was.
anything.
I bought
Oh, I bought a
nothing.
lightsaber for my son because it was like $4 if I talked through my Echo.
What?
Yeah,
What?
little Kylo Ren lightsaber was like $4.
Oh man, that's cool. Man, all right. Well, I missed out.
Yeah. That's it though. That's the only thing I bought.
I'm loving Kylo Ren. I didn't really know much about him. You know, of course I knew about him, but now that I'm learning more about him and his story, like I'm really digging Kylo Ren. I think he is so badass.
So my son's really into Force Awakens right now. He wants to
Nice.
watch it basically every day. And the one thing I will say is Kylo Ren just, not that the actor they chose the wrong actor, but like the hair thing, it's so annoying. Like
He's
he
super
needed
hot
to be
topic.
more badass, not so
Yeah.
fluff. Like the first time he takes his helmet off when he's talking to Ray and he's trying to mess with her, and you're just like, wait a minute, you just took your helmet off and your hair's like perfectly like perm coiffed. What the hell's going on there? Like, first of all, get out of here. You'd be sweating your ass off in that helmet. And
Yeah.
two, like, come on, that is like this. Like, he's supposed to be a badass, and like he takes that thing off, and you're like, wait a minute, you're supposed to be tough, and that's your hair. Like, they should have given him just like a buzzed head or something. Give him like some weird flat top or something. I don't know. Give
Or
him
at least
something.
like some super cool scars, you know? Like we
Right.
know he'll
We're
have scars
not-
moving forward, but
But something like the hair thing. And so every time my son's watching it and he rips the helmet off, and I just go, oh God, I got to turn away. I got to.
yeah, it is pretty
Yeah.
bad, but
That's like one of the big screw ups, I think, was that.
his lightsaber is pretty dope though. And just the sound of it, there's just something about it.
Yeah, it is pretty sweet. So,
Yeah.
anyways.
Either
All right.
way, I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. Thanks for catching us. If you caught us live and if you're listening to the recording, we still love you. It's all right.
Just, or if you're
Don't ever
watching,
do it again.
yeah, or if you're watching us on YouTube, good job.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it then. Yeah. Have a safe weekend. This was Droid Life Show episode 146. Thanks for joining us. Peace.
Peace.